even though I don't like this system, any collapse will be used to give the system even more power, because we haven't done our job yet of really getting the people aware of who is behind problem, reaction, solution. We're going to open the borders. We're going to take your kids. We're going to socialize things. We're going to force inoculations on you. We're going to make you eat GMO. We're going to geoengineer the skies. We're going to get rid of your national sovereignty. We're going to put your military under NATO control. We're going to tell you what kind of toilet and light bulbs you can have. We're going to tell you 60% taxes isn't enough. We're going to make the public dependent. No, you're not. We're going to ban your free speech. No, you're not. You've got to find the fight in you, ladies and gentlemen. And what's incredible is most of the time when you stand up, you have victory. They were banning our free speech in Austin, or trying to order the police to do it. We learned there was a police revolt. I didn't hear this from the police. I learned it from CBS. I wonder how the cops were smiling at me when I showed up to demonstrate against the South by Southwest. And then I later talked to CBS, and they had all the big sheets from the interview. I don't think it even aired, though, where they talked to the cops, and the cops said, well, we made the determination that the ordinance does not say that they can't hand stuff out. Now, the big fracas, though, because they had the city of Austin come down with code enforcement and try to order the police to give people tickets. They did give warnings and then said, you know, we're not even doing that. Now, by the time I got back to Austin, I drove back a day early because of this. I didn't know all this, and I showed up. About 100 people showed up real quick just off an internet announcement, you know, for an impromptu flash demonstration. And News 8 Austin was out there. A bunch of others were out there. It may have aired. I don't really watch television, so I don't know. I haven't looked it up. They said, the code enforcement's here saying you can't have bumper stickers on your car. And I said, let me talk to them next time they come up with the cops. Code enforcement backed up by police. And I got on the phone with the guy, and he's like, my superiors say you can't have this car parked in this parking meter with stickers on it. And I said, you got to be kidding me. This is a joke, right? And he's like, nope, that's what they're saying. So we called their bluff. They had to back off. And it's this whole thing of they're being ordered. The guy on the phone said he knew it was wrong. The police said they knew it was wrong. And then they finally just said no. What's so wrong about saying no to unlawful orders? I mean, I just do not get it. And it's time for the citizens to say no. No, no, no. N-O. No, 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 no. You need to learn that word. 3-year-olds know it. We need to learn it. No. No. Because everybody thinks if you just bend over to the government, lie down to the system, start licking their boots, they're going to be nice to you. They're going to put people in who want to have their boots licked. Most people in government now still don't want to have their boots licked low level. High level, they do. So they're telling the enforcers to go out and turn us into slaves. And they're trying to create flowery, threats and scary reasons we should do this. In fact, I got to this some yesterday. There's more out on it today. 46,609 people on food stamps, and now has just gone up in the last couple of months to 47,791,996. There's a lot of other supplementals. If you add in all the forms of county and city supplementals and things, it's more like 80 million are on some form of food assistance. Unbelievable. Out of 315 mil, 80-something mil have to have the government feed them. And God forbid, though, churches try to do it. That's banned all over the country, from Houston to Florida cities. You see that in the news. And God forbid a veteran climb in a dumpster. Man, I tell you, in Europe right now, in Spain and in other areas, people are dumpster diving, families. Because, the rich are throwing stuff out. A pear has got a rot hole in it. The rich people throw that away. They don't know how to just slice off the rotten part. And over here, though, they give you tickets or arrest your butt. Okay, well, anyways, it's a side issue for national listeners. It shows how crazy government's gotten. So they did cover it. But they went to the cops, and the cops said, we're not enforcing that. Well, you'd already given out tickets, and I gave KI a copy of the warning ticket. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Stand up or be a slave. The establishment does not want you to hear and see this information. The establishment does not want you to know what's going on. The establishment has done everything they can to try to discredit what we're saying, what we're talking about, what we're covering here. In fact, one area in my stack of news, stack after stack after stack, is Forbes. come, and I'll cover that in the next hour, saying 1.6 billion bullets, that's today. We need to have a national discussion about this and the armored vehicles and everything. Wait a minute, Forbes, you didn't get the memo? It's over 2 billion now in the last 15, 16 months. And it's all public. It's federal purchase orders at fedbiz.gov. But you didn't hear CNN, MSNBC, Politico, and Media Matters, the White House Public Operations Office, with all the White House people running it. You didn't hear them say it doesn't exist and that it's racist? You're like, what does that have to do with race? Just, it's racist, okay? Racist. It's racist. And never mind the giant arms buildup. And you heard Gibbs, there's no drone program either. Even though it publicly exists, it doesn't exist. So they got a big problem. And this is what I did a video about last week when I was taken off with the family and what I called in about. There is a major tipping point. There's the headline, 1.6 billion rounds of ammo for Homeland Security. It's time for a national conversation. Do me a favor and print me that article. I know I have it in the stack, but I can't find it for some reason. That's another problem with having so many news articles. I have like 5 stacks of gun news here. Yeah, more than 5 stacks. And last week when I got on and was so excited and I was ranting and raving about the fact that we're in the fight and the fact that we're having an effect and the White House is responding every day to what Infowars.com is doing. They're responding every day to what DrudgeReport.com is doing. And I'm just giving credit where it's due. And then Infowars is forcing all the big neocon hosts who wouldn't cover this are now covering it. We're taking over the discussion with the truth. Hey, why'd they buy 2,700 giant black wheeled tanks that say U.S. National Police FEMA on them that we photographed in Austin? Why are they running checkpoints? Why are they announcing Brigade Homeland, 300,000+ federal troops to be deployed? That's Army times. And they're like, oh, that's not happening. Let's not have a national discussion. They are writing hit pieces every day. The AP's written articles trying to whitewash it that are in hundreds, well, that's conservative, thousands of newspapers and TV stations pick up on AP. That you can't even count them all. And they're saying it doesn't exist, or AP won't be as obvious as Politico or Slate or Media Matters saying it doesn't exist, it's a fake online rumor from an anonymous post. That's what they say. AP won't fully destroy themselves. They say, well, Jones is really wrong. He's kind of right about 1.6 billion, but 200,000 for this department's no big deal. And then other outfits are like, it's not 1.6 billion, it's 1 million bullets that were bought by this outfit. So they'll take one line item and focus in on that. Ladies and gentlemen, you wouldn't have them running around like chickens with their heads cut off, doing the dangerous tactic of saying none of this exists if it wasn't really dangerous for them. How do you know the enemy's weak spot? It's when they send their full force to that area. How do you know where, in the old days, they would have siege engines, even primitive explosives. Chinese had it thousands of years ago, trying to blow up castle defenses. And they'd have armies attacking from all sides. They didn't have radios. You couldn't see the flags over the other side of the castle. They'd use those to communicate up on hilltops. How would you know when there was a breach? When you saw everybody defending this area of the castle turn and start running down towards the other end of the castle, you would say, breach! You understand? They're not going to tell us when we're hurting them badly, except by their actions. And when they're going, there are no bullet purchases, there are no armored vehicles, there are no checkpoints, there are no military drills, there are no black helicopters. And you're like, well, there was a big black helicopter drill in my town. They practiced taking over the Capitol. Yeah, they practice stopping your local government. They're practicing a Civil War federal takeover, which is a global takeover. And they don't want to have a national debate about this before they nuke a major city and blame it on the Patriots. They want to nuke the city or release a bioweapon or blow up a federal building. I hope it's something small. I hope it's nothing, and then blame us. And so this is so paramount. This is so off the chart. This is so important that mainstream media, not all of them are bad, and those that still want credibility, and those that also want subscribers and readers, because telling the truth also is successful. People are running from lies quickly. So you're basically killing yourselves, the mercenaries at CNN, the mercenaries at MSNBC, the mercenaries at Politico, the mercenaries at Media Matters, who's publicly run by the former White House transition chief and about, what, 30-something other top Obama people. I mean, it is the White House. And who are they attacking every week? Alex Jones, Matt Drudge, the list goes on and on. I mean, their memo came out in Politico 2 years ago, and Politico spun it and said, oh, it's no big deal. Yeah, they called for infiltrating and sabotaging media companies from within. I mean, that's racketeering, folks. That's spy operations. You know, it came out in the Daily Mail about the military's practicing infiltrating local governments and buying them off. They're not practicing that. I told you about that 14 years ago in Police State 2000 with video with emergency managers and police chiefs of major cities in Texas on video with me saying special forces tried to buy them off. This is a long-term program, not in drills. The cover is the drill, just like with terror attacks. And again, it's not our military. It's criminal groups in control through the special forces level that's even above the generals. You always hear, yeah, Navy SEALs and Delta Force and even Green Berets are above the generals. Well, yeah, because they now work for criminal offshore conduits that have been taken outside of the command structure because they just fired, what, 11 generals the last 3 or 4 months? The head of CENTCOM, you name it, because they wanted to give help to the ambassador for 8 hours while Al-Qaeda, hired by Obama, was killing everybody. It was the local Benghazi security force. Anyways, I'm already digressing. The point is that if we have a discussion about this, and it's starting to come out in Forbes and Daily Mail and newspapers everywhere, I mean, the system is saying there are no Army drills, there are no black helicopters, there are no federal checkpoints, there are no TSA checkpoints, there are no 1.6 billion, now 2 billion bullets, there are no 2,700 strikers, armored vehicles, there are no. That is basically self-immolation. They have set themselves on fire to light the way for other liars in just desperate all-out hoaxes. This is like 12 hours into the Tet Offensive. There's a full-out attack by North Vietnam against the South, overrunning positions, killing people, burning cities everywhere, and the news is saying there is no Tet Offensive, there is no Tet Offensive, there is no Tet Offensive. And the psych warfare chiefs publicly talk about this. They say it doesn't matter if you know it's a lie. It's just meant to make you not take action and then have a debate about the lie. You see, because it's targeting the general dumbed-down public that just goes, well, Alex was saying they were planning this, but we don't know if it's true because you won't go look it up on the Federal Purchase Order website that we link to. But what I'm saying is, and Joseph Goebbels wrote about this, and then I read some declassified CIA stuff from the 60s where they said, in third world countries, we can't be over the top, as Joseph Goebbels pointed out, but also Bernays, they talk about him. He was still advising him at that point. The problem is that when it's too over the top, you lose everything. So there was an internal fight about how ridiculous to be. And what's taken the floor in the last 20 years is what Karl Rove talked about 8 years ago in the New York Times. He said, it doesn't matter if we get caught torturing and that we publicly ordered it. We'll just say that we didn't order it, even though we publicly ordered it, because we control reality. And he said this to the Washington Post, New York Times, and others at a cocktail party. They were so scared of him, it took them 3 years to admit it was him. They all wrote about it, though. Everybody knew who it was, senior White House advisor. And he said, you'll do what you're ordered. I control reality. And even the arrogant sellout mercenaries didn't like that. They want to feel important and like they're controlling reality and lying to people. They didn't like him saying, I will tell you what to say and you will repeat it. You understand that? And so some of them got in trouble, by the way, because, you know, he's like, this is off record. But you can't have it off record when you're bragging at a cocktail party. I think they said 6 senior newspaper people are all around him. And he goes, you people are nothing. I'll tell you the sun didn't come up tomorrow and you'll believe it. Go read the quotes. It is such a big deal, not in a personal power trip. It's actually pretty creepy. I don't want him to give me cancer. I don't want him to blow my head off or, you know, kill me and throw me in a hotel room with a hooker. I mean, I know who these people are. My best shot's to be as public as I can, to put all the info out now, so there's no point in killing me and turning me into a martyr. I hope you guys agree with that logic out there listening. The establishment, I'm not looking forward to you killing me, but if that happens, it's the way it is. I'm into this. You know, I'm committed. Because I'm just into the human species. I'm into my children's future, and it's just my male instinct to defend the truth is so overdriving I can't stop. But side issue. It's really living is what it is. The truth is what matters. I worship the truth because who is the author of truth? God is truth. The devil is lies. And I want the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. I would rather know the horrible truth and make preparation for it, to quote Patrick Henry, than to just be delusional. So understand what's happening now. They've gotten to the point, they're listening right now. They admittedly listen. The White House, through Media Matters, listens, records the show every day. They've talked about their national studies they've done of the show where they have 3 people. You can go read this in their research reports they file, how they come up with it, how many times this website links to us, how many times I say this. They have 3 full-time paid people in D.C. They also have a New York office. 3 people listening right now to take stuff out of context and play clips on their website and tell people it's not true. And they're sitting there, destroying their own future, drinking sodium fluoride, laughing about it, frying their brains with cell phone radiation, eating GMO because they're delusional that they're at the White House. They're little agents. Oh, yeah, how did I get off into the CIA infiltration of local government? Whenever that Media Matters memo came out a few years ago about we're going to infiltrate alternative media and destroy it from within, I mean, that's criminal. But Politico was like, oh, isn't this cute? Isn't this fun? Because they want the White House access. And a few weeks ago, they said one thing about Obama, saying he was the puppet master. And so for a few weeks, they were shut off from information and press conferences. And so they groveled and came out and said, there are no bullets. They actually said, Paul Watson wrote about it and linked to their article, there are no bullets. It's like the New York Times said 4 years ago. They said, I was in the Chantilly, Virginia, Marriott Woods having a full-on hallucination. Go read it. There was no Bilderberg meeting. We force people to admit there's a Bilderberg group. The media starts to cover it. What's the New York Times do? There is no Bilderberg. Alex Jones is completely insane. And people read the New York Times and feel official. They're laughing at you. They're laughing at you. There are no drones. There is no Bilderberg. There are no bullets. There are no armored vehicles. The TSA. Remember the TSA 3 years ago when we really pushed the big TSA story into the big national spotlight for about 3-4 months? And every day Drudge was linking to new articles we had. And they were saying, we do not grope children. We do not go in pants. We do not take you to a secondary room. We do not grope you. We do not strip search. And then they would get caught doing it and say, okay, we do. We do not save naked images. The scanners don't have radiation. They've been fully tested. Congress has been given the evidence. None of that was true. Lies, 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 lies. Lies! 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 Lies, 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 lies. And the fact is, when they're attacking us, and when they are going after us, and when they are saying we're liars, folks, they're not attacking us. It's a big deal to attack and to give us attention. They're doing it out of total desperation because if the public finds out they've built over 200 FEMA camps in the civilian inmate labor camp program, Army.mil, look it up. I just gave you the name. Just type it in, 5 seconds, you'll have it. Civilian inmate labor camp program, the Emergency Centers Establishment Act, the Clergy Response Team, the InfraGuard teams. Read the public manuals, training for total takeover. I mean, I'm giving you all the names here where you can read the whole takeover plan. How do I know what's going to happen next? It's all blueprinted. It's like if I had the blueprints for a house my neighbor's building, and I'm going to go, yes, next, honey, they're going to build the second floor balcony, and then they're going to put in the pool area. She's like, how do you know they're building the balcony today? Well, I had the blueprints. It said the next thing's that. It's a TV guide. How do you know the Super Bowl is coming on tonight? Well, I have a TV guide. It's online. It says it's coming on at 6 o'clock tonight. My gosh, you're so smart. I mean, I mean, that's what's so frustrating. So they're telling you, you know, the Super Bowl isn't coming on the day it's coming on. I mean, it's happening, and they just want to stall you. But they wouldn't be attacking us saying this wasn't true on dozens of issues if it wasn't hurting them. And I want to go on hurting them because they're hurting innocent people worldwide and wrecking our once great republic. Stay with us. Lies! 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 I got a message last time I sang along to this that the head of ministry liked it. We need to get him back on. We need to try to do that. I know he was on tour last time, but we tried to get him on. Let's get him back on. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Plus, he promised to come back on when 2012 would not be the end of the world. And he's a good guy. He also ran down people that have been buying gold. And I said, what do you got all those gold teeth for? Anyways, we're going to get him back on the broadcast. Oh, man, I tell you, truth is so much stranger than fiction. Speaking of, do you still think jet fuel brought down the towers? Look at these stacks of news. Now, I mentioned some of this yesterday. By the way, I haven't even gotten into the real top story yet today because I'm so used to North Korea threatening things. But I started thinking about it last night and this morning on a metric. This is like, let's not exaggerate, 5 times the amount of threats and the seriousness of threats I've ever seen. And it's Kim Jong-un, who looked more boyish because, you know, his dad had kept him at Swiss boarding schools and things until just a few years ago, who looked all scared and boyish just 6 months ago, now has that same crazy, demonic, I'm in full power, I can order, you know, young girls strung up and killed like his dad would do. I mean, his dad did Hellraiser-type stuff on record at the 7-story Pleasure Palace. You can look that up. He would have planes hijacked to kidnap South Korean and Japanese film stars that would disappear into the North Korean capital, the only place with electricity in the country, basically. Oh, man, the Dennis Rodman thing. I mean, his evil to get money, and then the vampiric spiders so happy to have something they thought was a celebrity to embrace and suck in. It was truly disgusting. Truly hard to watch, and I think is a window into the mindset of narcissism. And look, I was into celebrity a little bit until I was exposed to a bunch of it and found out it was no big deal. The establishment Hollywood-style celebrity. There are real people I think are celebrities in my own mind who are activists and intelligent people, artists, violinists, guitarists, guitar heroes. I mean, there's people I admire, but just the all-out worship of it is so disgusting. And North Korea threatens preemptive nuclear strike as U.S. South begin war games. They've ended the 1950s armistice. I mean, that's off the chart. You see, that was a ceasefire in a war that was never ended. So the war that so many of our family members fought in, like my late Uncle Leonard, it is now back on. So I'm going to be breaking that down. U.S. South Korea began military exercises as North ends armistice and threatens to preemptively nuke the United States. And thanks to Clinton and Donald Rumsfeld, they both worked together. They were given missiles that can deliver the systems under Laura Allen Hughes. I'm going to rant because I've got more I want to say a little bit in the next segment about Dennis Rodman, because I've been out of town for a week and haven't really talked about this. The incredibly disgusting spectacle a little bit in the next segment and tie it into North Korea threatening to nuke the United States. Now the armistice, which was a ceasefire, has ended. So there's a state of war between the United States and South Korea versus North Korea. I mean, this is a big deal. You've got an insane little demon running North Korea. And as bad as the globalists are, and they are bad, this guy's what they wish they were. I mean, these guys can't even get their cars to work. But they've got a big military to threaten people. I mean, what a joke. That's one of the few countries that did a total roll-in and carpet bombing of the government would really be a nice thing. I mean, nothing could be as bad. Nothing could be as bad. I mean, I can look in the eyes of their government officials, all crazed and weird, sycophantic mental illness, and then some toddling little third-generation dictator moron hugging some burnout nobody. I was actually in Los Angeles one time. I'm not going to even tell a story. It doesn't even matter. Dennis Rodman is a complete joke. No one even wants to be around him. Bankrupted. Not that that's a bad thing in and of itself. Just an idiot. And it just shows how disconnected North Korea is. Man, I tell you. They say Kim Jong-un is just obsessed with Hollywood, and that's all he does is read Hollywood magazines and watch TV all day. I mean, what an obscenity. I mean, I would just love to get in a room with that guy. I mean, I would just love it. Wouldn't you love? Because I'm not somebody that dreams about beating the hell out of people, but I would love. Just let me punch him 2 or 3 times. I guarantee you. All right, I'm not going to fantasize here. Can you imagine an uppercut to that nose, full power? I mean, just give it absolute, caveman swing. The nose would completely be off the nose. It'd be a big, gaping black hole of blood spraying out. And then right into those teeth. Bam. And then just slam that head on the ground. Can you imagine that, bouncing it like a basketball? I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I got to admit, I look at that tyrant, and I have fantasies. You know all the people they string up and torture and all the kids and women, because reportedly they're into women. That's what him and his daddy are reportedly into, torturing them to death. And then it's all cute for Dennis Rodman. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. Ha. Look at the other sycophant. Who's that weirdo? I've seen, that's some comedian or something. Who's the other guy up there in the middle? This is like hell or something. And just look at the smile on Kim Jong-un's face. I mean, let's wipe that off your face, you little ferret, you little gerbil. Oh, man, get it off screen. Get it off. I'm going to rant in the next segment. I said I'd take calls. This segment I didn't. I'll just come back and talk about it, and then I'll go to your calls. I have an instinct to want to put bad people down. And I don't do that to sound tough or whatever. I have a problem just being honest how I feel. And looking at that punches my buttons really, really bad. It punches my buttons really, really bad. And I love the fact Dennis Rodman was thrown out of a bar. I mean, that guy, let me tell you, man, it'd be one thing if he went and was very solemn and it was actually an ambassador. It'd still be a joke. And said what you're doing is wrong and everything, then I would say, wow, the guy actually did something. Instead, he went and groveled and said he was a great guy and all this, when the guy's, him and his family have like 10 million people's blood on their hands. And I've read about the confirmed reports about how the lower half class are put in pens as animals, and their kids are taken and sent to another camp so that there's no family. And the things they do in the medical experiments and all of it, the dehumanization, I think of the millions of, and the fact that when you look at their officers, they all have the same demonic look in their eye of just craven death worship, and I just absolutely want to annihilate them, don't you? They've gone around to police stations all over the country and gone in pro-tyranny areas, anti-gun areas, and they've actually gone in there and said, should I be able to have a gun? The police openly say, no, no one should be allowed to have a gun except the police. You need to get a dog. The same thing that Michael Moore told Luke Rudowski of We Are Change. In fact, we probably should tell Kurt in his article to add a link to that particular We Are Change video, because this is a meme. Get a dog. Somebody intent on home invading is going to kill your dog. And the idea that we don't have a right to protect ourselves and that the police are going to do it when they have no statutory directive to do it. I mean, there are some common law failure to render aid, but the cops have exempted themselves even from that, to where they're saying they don't have a compulsion to protect you, but I can't protect myself. I mean, if I lived in Chicago or New York, you better believe I'd have a gun. I mean, I'm a pretty big guy, and I've had people try to shake me down on the New York subway just to see if I'd be scared and give them my watch. And I was like, are you really joking, guys? I was there with a couple other people. In fact, we actually got in a fight on the New York subway. I forgot. I let the guy push me because I didn't want to go to jail. It was like 3 in the morning when we were coming back, big guy. And Rob Jacobson's not that big, ran up and like pushed the guy really hard and said, come on. I was just like, let's get out of here. But again, I'm starting to have flashbacks to stuff in New York. That was like during the RNC in 2004. Time certainly flies late at night after being out on the bay doing some video shooting. Let me run over some of the headlines here. First off, North Korea is constantly threatening to annihilate America and to attack South Korea and the rest of it. It is the ultimate example of why big government's bad and why state planning destroys things. More than 10 million estimated North Koreans have died since the armistice back in the 1950s, 1953. The war never ended. There was a ceasefire, or to use the European term, an armistice, and they have had a ceasefire there with the DMZ. They have abolished the armistice as of yesterday. They announced they'd do it Friday and said we may preemptively launch an ICBM, which they have, thanks to Laurel and Hughes and helping them get the reactors. The head of ABB at the time was Donald Rumsfeld, and Clinton authorized it. So bipartisan. Rumsfeld's involved in getting aspartame approved. Rumsfeld is involved in Monsanto and the Terminator gene. I mean, it's like he's the devil. There's a poof of white smoke, and there's Donald Rumsfeld there. But the point is that that's why they now have this and have missiles that keep blowing up on the launch pad. Let me tell you, folks, I've watched how they've blown up. They've clearly got space-based and aircraft-based lasers that can shoot from hundreds of miles away and blow those things up. They are blowing them up. And that's why the White House came out on Saturday and said, we can shoot down those missiles. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, they had 30 years ago DC-10s with giant chemical lasers, the entire length of the jet aircraft, that are like Star Wars. I mean, particle beam, you're gone. Shoot right through armor, you name it. Very powerful. Regular laser would just bounce off. It's particle beam. A chemical laser with a cyclotron in it, a small superconducting super collider, and then it's like a rail gun, but it's small particles, and it heats up. The reason I know is, of all people, my dad got a grant in high school to build a primitive particle beam. They were handing out things like that then. He was top of his class, and he built a small particle laser and was blowing stuff up in the backyard. I can't believe I'm saying this. It sounds so crazy. It's actually true. And he didn't wear the proper safety glasses. He had welding glasses on, wasn't enough. Particles went in, and his eyes got burned. He was blind for about 3 weeks, had to wear bandages. They didn't know he'd have his eyesight back, and his eyes went from blue to green. But it's really burns. It burned the front of his eye. And he has like yellow burns on his eye, but I don't know why I'm telling that story now. But let me get back to North Korea. Here's Paul Craig Roberts' article dealing with trying to start war in the Middle East with people that aren't starting it and putting al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria and all these areas. He's got starting Armageddon in the face, but hiding it with official lies. That's right. It's all about doing it publicly, but then openly denying it just to condition you to accept pure lies and then not even know what's true unless you spend time to actually ferret it out. And then you just try to talk to the cattle out there who think it's cool, who wear their ignorance like an armor. They don't want to know. And so here it is. North Korea threatens preemptive nuclear strike on U.S. South begin war games. South Korea and U.S. begin military drills as North Korea threatens war. That's today, AP. North Korea cuts hotline with South, threatens nuclear strike as war games begin. And let me tell you, Kim Jong-un is actually in command. And when you look at how mentally ill his generals are, wearing stuff that looks like suits from 100 years ago and driving 57 Chevys around, and weirdos crying for 2 days straight when Kim Jong-il dies. I mean, this is megalomania. I mean, Hitler turned into Russia, who'd never been beaten, and went and fought numbers of 5, 6 to 1 when he was already losing in the West. He got delusional. And the Germans were about 100 times less delusional historically and thought they might be able to win, and lost millions of soldiers, by the way, and had a more high-tech military. North Korea's got a bunch of artillery, some old tanks, and a bunch of brainwashed people that'll do whatever they're told. But it's over, folks. North Korea actually starts something. And see, most groups like Iran may even be playing a double game with the globalist. I mean, we know in Iran-Contra they made deals with Reagan and others. And Chavez, there was some double gaming going on. But with North Korea, I've analyzed it. China keeps them on a leash, but not a very short one. And, I mean, they're a real wild card. And it's always been said by analysts that I agree with, like Joel Scalzi. that North Korea will be the trigger for the big one. And what was Lindsey Williams told 3 years ago? He goes, don't worry about the Middle East. They're going to start a big war, use riots and things to take that down. And that came true. He has a Bilderberg-level source. I don't even know who it is. Can't say the name, obviously. But look for North Korea. That's the big one. And right as the global financial collapse is about to accelerate, I mean, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but this is getting close. With them ending the armistice, ending the ceasefire. And now I briefly, before I go to your calls, want to talk about the spectacle of Kim Jong-un, the third-generation dictator, where there's only power in a few military bases around the country and the main city, and they've got high-tech CAT scanners and the best equipment and Colby beef flown in from Japan and high-priced hookers flown in constantly for them, and even B-movie stars flown in from Japan, South Korea, and the U.S. to service the every whim of Kim Jong-il, and now his son, who showed up whenever he took over the throne. That's what it is. It's royalty. That's why royalty is so despicable. A couple more generations, they will be wearing crowns. They show up over there, and when he first got in there 6, 7 months ago, or was it a year ago his dad died? Time flies. And he was all shell-shocked, looked like the little kid who'd been living in Switzerland, you know, who was fascinated with basketball, the NBA, and movies. He was like this wide-eyed, the new supreme commander. And now he has that ha-ha-ha demonic look, yeah. And I watched the video. You all saw it a week ago. I was out of town. Dennis Rodman hugging him and them hugging, and Kim Jong-un's a great guy, and it's so much fun. And the sycophanticness of a burnout nobody celebrity getting all this, you know, enjoyment and fame off of this infamy, and Kim Jong-un hugging him and all the sycophants around them and the gibbering and the evil and people playing basketball where if you don't do a good job, you're sent to a death camp. And Rodman defending that and saying he's a wonderful person, and all the psychos, vampires that are starved on their own defeated people, seeing a fake celebrity there to visit them in their kingdom of shame is so disgusting, and it gets worse. Look at how Kim Jong-un operates. Threatening to nuke everyone, threatening to kill everyone, just like the globalist. Do what we say or Al-Qaeda will blow up America. Big sis ought to marry Kim Jong-un. She was just saying last week, terrorists will attack if you don't give us unlimited Homeland Security funding. Holder, give us the guns or more kids will die. We know you got wind-up toys doing these shootings, buddy. They're all under government psychiatric care. One of them was Air Force Run in Colorado. I mean, we know you're using terror to keep us under control as well. You just had a richer, more powerful nation to suck off of, and you've taken our wealth and destroyed it, but you use the same system of control. And you will debase us down to North Korea level, because it's not just about you having all the power. It's about you watching us suffer. That's why you want us dependent and under your control, because you're the same diseased, rotting, ugly, demonic filth. Look at Big Sis. Look at Obama. Look at all these people. And they're just mercenaries for the bankers. Look at the top bankers. They are ugly, unhappy, wicked, turned over to evil people who themselves go to celebrity banquets constantly to sit up there like peacocks and be worshipped. They are empty, soulless, fallen, cancerous people who took over because they're anti-human and don't follow the regular codes that we do. And that doesn't make them strong. It makes them degenerate. And I'm telling you, if I ever see Dennis Rodman, I'm getting in his face. And I just get nauseous. Nauseous seeing Kim Jong-il. But they're an expression of what all mega tyrants become, of what all big government and big corporations creates. The unaccountability, the thuggish mafia behavior, and I swear, eternal resistance against all of these scum. Homeless Houston veterans cited for dumpster diving in search for food. That's News 92 FM. They have a copy of the ticket. And they've banned feeding the homeless in Houston, so they just say, what do they do, die? And what a sign of an amazing tyranny when cops will give a homeless person, period. But I'm telling you, so many of the homeless I see now are not drunks. They're not drug addicts. Like, they're not hobos. I'll ask them, I'll say, I mean, a lot of times these guys, you can tell, are the real deal. And I'll say, what's your story? And I already know what they're going to say. I was Special Forces for, 10 years. I was in the first Gulf War. I got hit with nerve gas during the nerve gas alert, and I got brain damage now, and I can't get a job. And you can tell they're all there, but they are damaged. And the guy rides off on their bike. Now I see the homeless, and they are injured vets. I've seen homeless vets with arms and legs blown off. And I just can't imagine being a cop and coming over to a dumpster, and there's a guy in there eating, and you're going to give him a ticket. I mean, man. Ooh, boy. Let me tell you, I can just thinking about that, I can literally pick up on God's anger. I mean, just inside it makes me shake to think to be one of those people. It makes me shake. It makes me shake. And again, this isn't even about I'm a guy on a high horse, I'm a good guy. It makes me feel bad to even imagine that. And that's nothing on the scale of evil. It's just imagine. Former Newark Airport TSA screener says the job does little to keep flyers safe. Really, it's there to train you to be a slave. TSA allowed people with criminal records to get airport security badges. New American Magazine, Michael Tennant. Or is that Michelle Tennant? I'm reading from a distance. And the article breaks down all the admitted cases where they hired felons, rapists, robbers. And the thing is, they're not letting them slip through. It's not an accident. They do it on purpose. Again, if you're really worried about real terrorists that are going to attack, why do they then let basically anybody work at an airport? Because that's who they want. In the ads, they say, we want you to be imperious and dominating. Remember that ad out of Seattle? Put out by the TSA? Dominating, imperious. And it's all a big joke. Yeah, there's a new one. 42% of Austrians think Hitler rule wasn't all bad. How about your country getting bombed and invaded? How was that? 20 million Germans died in that war. Only 2 million of them soldiers. Didn't go too good for them either. And again, things are so decadent now. Yesterday, I walked out of a restaurant. I went and had a meeting with one of my IT guys after the Sunday show. We had to have a meeting about some architecture purchases we're going to make, here in the IT architecture. And I'm walking out. It's sunset at about 7:15. And there's a big giant cell tower right there at the restaurant, behind it, next to some office buildings, or actually on top of it. And there was signs about don't get close. It says radiation. So I was shooting a video going, notice they say that it's dangerous, but then if you tell people cell phones will give them cancer, they think you're a kook. And some woman is in a car parked about 10 feet away, and she starts laughing. So I turn the camera off, the iPhone off, turn around, and I go, hey, what's going on? And she's laughing, going, what are you talking about? Laughing at me because she heard me talking about cancer. And I went, nothing. It's all funny, isn't it? And she didn't like that, and her boyfriend didn't like it. And I could tell they were laughing at us aggressively. They were laughing to mess up the video shot. They were like, what are you talking about, huh? What? Because, if she'd have been, laughing just because, she was uncomfortable, I would have explained it to her. She was like, what? I mean, what are you? And I was like, oh, no, everything's fine. Nothing. It's good for you. Government loves you. And she went, huh? And then started her car and drove off. So I shot another video that you can see that's up at Infowars.com that has a nice title for everybody. Dial R for radiation. Alex Jones discovers the wondrous new vitamin R for radiation. That's up at PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com. Just a little short video, but that's the spirit of it, because everything's been given to them. They're living on the carcass of the richest, greatest country ever, that hardcore, vicious, smart, aggressive, the most inventive, the most trailblazing. Everybody came here through incredible hardship. I don't care what color you were, whether you were Chinese, black, white, you name it. Super hard continent, wars, you name it. Building a continent and a civilization out of nothing. The pinnacle of power, strength, ruggedness, piracy, criminality, Christ-likeness, everything that was here. The good, the bad, and the ugly, this was it. And now there's these soft nothings who just think it's funny to laugh at death and destruction and Dennis Rodman hanging out with a mass murdering scumbag. who isn't even a mass-murdering scumbag like his grandfather, who actually took power, was in a big war, killed a bunch of people, and set up a cult for himself. That guy I don't like, but I can respect him. Then there's his pathetic son and all the horrible things he did. And then this guy. You know, that's the cherry on top, is that it's a soft, weak, pudgy-hand person who's never been in a fist fight, never had to get a paycheck, never gone hungry, and now gets to strut around with people worshiping him like God. They say the sun comes up because of him, and the birds sing. They actually say that. And that the magic lights are seen around him by a horrible tyranny that has the people literally worshiping him. And then I have to see people making jokes about it. And now I've gone off into the Netherlands ranting about this. It fundamentally freaks me out and is the greatest poster child for everything I've ever talked about, with this cult of the state and the people that want to become something through the state. And as the state gets bigger, they will ascend. No, you will wreck everything. And people that say the state created civilization. No, the state is the managers of civilization that end up being the farmers on us, the slaves on the plantation. And I want a worldwide revolt of humanity against the technocrats. I want true libertà. Just insane times to be alive. Just totally insane. And again, who's threatening this? One scumbag tyrant against another group of tyrants that have taken over our country.
And if you are worried about your safety, get a dog.
Can we play that one more time? That took my breath away. Yeah, that's the one, the only Jabba the Hutt on our show premiering here.
And if you are worried about your safety, get a dog.
Yeah, and I asked the guys for that clip earlier. If you just joined us, Infowars.com, PrisonBlooded.com, top story. The police will protect you, so turn in your gun. And he's got all these links to articles and videos of the police and other people saying that you don't need a gun, get a dog, and that the police will protect you. Where the cops in station after station are like, get a dog. No, you don't need a gun. Yes, I will come and take your guns. And it was all eastern cities fully controlled by the globalists. They're full of great people, but, I mean, man, they're really hiring the next wave of police, because most cops are pro-gun because they're around guns. They know guns make crime go down. They know criminals are going to have guns anyways, and they tend to be more libertarian or constitutionalist. You can call them conservative, paleo-conservative. But not in Chicago, not in New York, and that's an oversimplification, obviously, not in places they control. I mean, it's scary to know they will come for our guns, and they are the future. Under federalization of police, they are just taking departments over everywhere and putting a bunch of nanny state weirdos in who have that same control freak look in their eye that I see in the North Korean leadership's eye. You all know the look of a crazed nut, of a control freak nobody who wouldn't have been anything in their life and who's so insecure about their powerlessness that they overcompensate by acting like total jerks. And it just punches my buttons around those people. I just turned like a wild gorilla or something, man. I'm like, don't you try to dominate me. And see, that's the problem. Those of us that are strong, those of us that are dominant, we don't like to act dominant because we're naturally dominant. Dominant just wants to protect people, be strong, build things. We like cool people. We like successful people. We like success. And then there's always scum trying to gang up on us and feed off of us. And I've had enough of it. So North Korean leadership and Obama's people and all of you, just go back to hell where you came from. I see you what you are, a bunch of ugly chicken neck scum, pathetic trash who want to walk around on red carpets and land in big jet airplanes and have us all live in awe of you. The way to bring down the New World Order is just to hate these people and to spit when you see them and to laugh at them and to know they're a bunch of North Korean trash. They are. They're a bunch of North Korean wannabes. I mean, it's just look at all those little soft toadies. It's just, I've seen it a million times in government. And notice all the police chiefs that are up there saying ban guns, and the Congress people, they all have that weird softness to them. All the police chiefs and sheriffs that are out there pro-gun and anti-tyranny, they all look really tough and mean, and they've got light in their eyes because they have an instinct to want to actually help people. Evil always looks like little soft people. Oh, I'm so sick of them. I'm sick of them ruling over us. I'm tired of it. It's backwards. It's going back thousands of years ago. Scum started getting together to dominate the strong and make us their slaves. That's how this works, and I'm sick of it. And if you stop bending over, it won't ever get to this point. This is the blueprint for total victory. All over the country, it was like 5, then it was 10. I saw an article last night where it's over 50 major manufacturers, and that's most of them, are now saying they're not going to sell to the feds or any other municipality that's for victim disarmament for the citizens. And they're looking to see if that municipality's pro-gun. And I agree. They should only sell to citizens and municipalities that are pro-gun and show our real muscle before they shut us down with a industry boycott. See, they're trying to bankrupt the gun industry with lawsuits and stuff. It's time for the gun industry to bankrupt them. This next report tells it all. CBS News went out and did a report, but they said Pamplin ordinance not enforced during South by Southwest. The city's claiming you can't hand out literature anywhere in the city. That's a total fraud. When the police were put on the spot, they refused to enforce it after we made a big stink out of it. And this just shows the incredible tyranny that's going on. And then they said we couldn't have bumper stickers on our car. So that shows how far they want to take all this. Here is David Knight's report. What is your line in the sand?
March 6th, 1836. The Battle for the Alamo. 177 years ago. We still remember and celebrate their bravery. But what did they die for? It wasn't Anglo versus Mexican. It was people of every tongue, tribe, and race standing against tyranny. They could have gone along quietly. They could have surrendered and surrendered their freedoms, but they didn't. They drew their line in the sand and said, we'll die before we give up our freedoms. Well, Colonel Travis drew a line in the sand at the Alamo, and 60 years before the Alamo, the founders of this country drew the line at a small tax on tea. Where do you draw the line on tyranny? As I returned to Austin, I found that like cities all over America, corporatists were trying to deny basic freedoms by intimidation. South by Southwest is big business here in Austin. It's a huge industry show for music, film, and interactive media, and they seem to think they own Austin for that week. As InfoWars is handing out our monthly magazine for free, South by Southwest got some Austin police officers to issue warnings, then tickets when we wouldn't stop. But there is no ordinance against handing out free information on public streets, whether or not South by Southwest is in town.
Well, I had my car parked there with some banners on the side, and that was illegal. So they told me they were gonna give me a ticket, that I was gonna get in trouble just because I had my banners there. I had some magazines in front of the car. So it is true, we had to hassle with them.
They told you they couldn't hand them out. We got a ticket.
Yeah, and then this cop, he was giving out warnings to everybody, even people that were giving away free hogs. Yeah, they got tickets as well. Actually, this guy was harassing us and saying that we can't give away more magazines because we are not sponsors of South by Southwest.
Did you hear that? Now South by Southwest people, because they didn't get the cops to harass us, because the cops are now behaving like they should under the Constitution, they're now having people come up and harass us saying you can't on city streets hand a magazine out because you're not South by Southwest. They now say they own Austin. Does the Chronicle own Austin? Because nothing stops people that aren't backing down. Nothing stops people that are willing to die. Nothing stops 1776. Nothing stops it. You got that scum? Nothing. Because I'll close with this. I'll close with this. The words for V for Vendetta. Flesh and blood, it dies. It's not bulletproof, but ideas are bulletproof. You got that? I am you, those that actually aren't in a trance and that are awake and understand what's happening. You are the founders of the new republic. The globalists have already taken over the old republic, but we will restore the great republic again. And as the tyrants try to oppress the people, that will only make more of us awaken. The answer to 1984 is 1776. The answer to 1984 is 1776. 1776. 1776.
They will overrun us if we keep kissing their butts. So I say start more accounts, keep uploading it, upload it under different names. Say YouTube banned this video. Make a big deal out of it. And everybody realize, while we've still got YouTube and Facebook and the Real Alex Jones Twitter, you better be using this stuff. They want to shut us down because we're effective. People better realize, folks, now is the time to be fighting like never before. They do not want you to hear this show. They do not like the fact that we have street fought up from no stations up to over 150 and huge news websites and are able to do this is unbelievable. But it's a testament to we're human too. The globalists are human. They've been very effective. We're effective. You got to get in the fight, folks. You got to get in the fight. And the first few times politically, you'll probably get your butt kicked. So what? It's training. What do they say in the military? Pain is weakness leaving the body. Well, politically, the political pain is defeat leaving the political spectrum. And you just got to go out there and stop caring what people think about you, and start standing up for what's right. I mean, we're living in an incredibly historical time. We got pure evil coming down on us. Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds?